You know, the funny thing about this list is if you track the release dates, you can actually pinpoint the exact moment my childlike wonderment disappeared and I became a cynical adult. It's a good time. Welcome back, everyone. Today we are looking at 10 objectively bad movies that I enjoy anyway. Now, what makes a bad movie? Could be bad directing, could be terrible acting, could be bad or dated special effects. There are a number of things that make a movie terrible. The point is there are a number of reasons why I also still love those movies, and I'm sure if you look deep in your heart, maybe a couple of them you do too. So let's go ahead and look at some terrible movies that I love anyway. Kicking off this list at number 10, we have 1993's Super Mario Bros. Feature film, and this is Nintendo's first attempt to make a Mario movie, and I would say the biggest problem is that it's inexplicably done in live action and not animation, which would have allowed them to stay closer to the source material and create a more magical experience for the audience. Oh well, at least they learned their lesson, right?
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
Anyway, the movie had a famously troubled production that led to a disjointed performance from its talented leading men. Countless rewrites, extremely poor adaptations of the video game characters left most fans and critics justifiably upset. So why do I like this movie so much? It really boils down to the chemistry between Hoskins and Leguizamo, who, while checked out at times, do show just enough charm to keep me engaged. Throw in some super bizarre performances from Dennis Hopper as King Koopa,
Monkey!
and sidekicks Iggy and Spike played by Fisher Stephen and Richard Edson respectively. You've got just enough for a decently good time. I'd be lying if I said that nostalgia doesn't play a part. Of course it does. I was 6 when this movie came out, and I adored Mario. Is the movie perfect? No, far from it. But do I still really enjoy when the urge hits me to pop up and rewatch this film? Absolutely. It's a really good time if you just turn your brain off, don't think too much about it, and just let the charm of the two leads kind of sweep you away. So, number 10, Super Mario Bros. 1993. Number 9 is Escape from LA, and let's just get this out of the way first off. Is this movie good? Not conventionally, no. Does it live up to being the sequel of a adored cult classic from Carpenter? Probably not. The serious and gritty world that Carpenter created in New York is thrown aside for a much more lighthearted and campy environment for our protagonist Snake to frolic in. And it's a very similar affair to the original. We waste absolutely zero time throwing Snake into the fire, which is a big pro. It's a big pro of the movie that we just kind of get to it. And while taking itself reasonably serious at times, it also seems to know that it is a campier sequel, and it's sure to include moments of pure 90s cheese. The basketball scene is iconic, but also incredibly silly, in spite of actor Kurt Russell's amazing feat of making every single basket legitimately. And don't get me freaking started on the surfing bit. The CGI and special effects were rough, even for 1996. And you have to remember, this movie came out after Jurassic Park. But for me, these scenes are almost more fun to watch because they are so bad. They're so badly executed. To me, this movie is the epitome of so bad it's good at times, and it's imperative that you watch this film with the proper mindset. Snake Plissken is a badass protagonist who will be put into increasingly more ridiculous set pieces over and over and over again until the finale. All he says throughout the movie are one-liners in his name, so think of him as a pissed-off Pokemon, and as long as that sounds like a decent time to you, you'll very much enjoy this film in spite of its many flaws. Russell is perfect, and his co-stars all do deserve, some praise for doing a serviceable job. The ending is predictable, and it's foreshadowed, but still very decent. The movie is a mess, but I still love the ride all the same, and Carpenter always nails it in the sound department, so you know the soundtrack is going to be good. Number 9, Escape from LA. At number 8, we have 2000's Dude, Where's My Car? Now, every single movie on this list is a product of their time, but I think it's safe to say that Dude, Where's My Car would top, that department easily, I would think. Leading men Sean William Scott and Ashton Kutcher were both at the peak of their popularity, and getting them to star in this hangover prequel right on the heels of American Pie was just lightning in a bottle. This movie was not a hit with critics, and it's not difficult to see why, because the little bit of story we do get is absolutely ridiculous. The acting by everyone, while intentional, is tough to take at times unless you are 1000% in on the joke. Now, if you aren't a fan of silly comedies, this movie is not for you. But for those of us who were there at the time, this comedy worked. It was fun, and I know some of the jokes have aged horribly, but that's true of many comedies. Some of the jokes are also absolutely iconic.
Sweet! What about mine? Dude! What does mine say? Sweet! And then. No, and then. Really start to piss me off, lady.
The truth is, would I throw this movie on now by myself? Probably not, but Dude, Where's My Car is a great time to watch with friends if you've had a few drinks or had a few Alakazams, and you just laugh your butts off at the whole thing. If that's not your bag, I get it, but not everyone likes whiskey. That doesn't mean whiskey's bad, right? At number 7, we have the 5th entry in a horror franchise that had long run out of great ideas. Another 2000s release, Leprechaun 5, In the Hood. Now, Leprechaun 5 follows 3 would-be rap artists trying to make it big, and in an attempt to get one over on record producer and certified pimp Mac Daddy, these young artists unwillingly free the titular leprechaun. Now, our little green friend has already been to the countryside. He's already been to Vegas. He's even been to space. And now that you've unleashed him in the hood, we should be completely lost, right? Franchise over, franchise dead. In some ways, yes. I don't think anybody then or after took the franchise even remotely serious as a horror series, but at the same time, they regained some footing in the entertainment department. Whereas Leprechaun 4 in space, similar with its cheesiness, it did the most egregious sin a movie can do. It was boring. This movie is not boring. The acting is super fun, especially from Warwick Davis, who at this point the franchise does not deserve. But here he is, being an absolute delight, getting in some pretty silly situations, putting in some really solid kills and one-liners.
A friend with weed is a friend indeed, but a friend with gold is the best, I'm told.
And the movie ends with the leprechaun rapping. So if you enjoy B horror, this one is an all-timer. I mean, there's a reason he went back to the hood like 3 years later. At number 6, we have some more B movie royalty, 2013's Sharknado. Now, this movie had to start as like a bet or something, but it turned into an honest-to-goodness feature film. And how well this film works depends entirely on your ability to laugh at terrible acting and horrendous CGI. If the premise alone doesn't put a smile on your face, then this movie is not for you. But if the idea of killer sharks being swept into a historic cluster of tornadoes and then wreaking havoc on a beach town populated by the likes of Tara Reid and John Hurd, does that sound like fun to you? Then boy, you're in for a ride. There is no plot to speak of, but we do learn about this large pod of sharks through some seedy business dealings, and this is the only way we can open the movie with a kill scene, and we're happy to see these victims die. So it works, and the opening is actually one of my favorite parts of the movie because it shows you exactly what you were in store for. The ending is also completely batshit crazy as we get our heroes pilot a helicopter straight into several Sharknadoes with the intent of dropping bombs into the storm to sort of destabilize it and neutralize the threat. Meanwhile, we've got members of the ground team sniping freaking sharks out of the sky with a handgun, and the lead makes the mandatory Jaws reference. It's exactly what it says it's gonna be, and I love this big steaming pile of crap so much. At number 5, we have a very polarizing superhero movie.
What mouth?
No, a polarizing DC superhero movie.
Can we please just take a minute? Sorry, dude. Yeah, but bro, of course.
Shit, no. It's pretty old and it stars one of DC's most popular characters.
Stop! That's enough!
Shit, no, not that one. All right, it's 1997's Batman and Robin, starring George Clooney as the Caped Crusader and Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Now, if this was all the movie was, it might work. And hell, it might be one of the better Batman movies ever. So what holds this movie back? Well, it's the bloated supporting cast. They'd each come with their own supporting story. And I'm not saying the cast is bad. I do think everyone in this movie works pretty well. But we've got Batman and Robin's Ivy drama. We've got the Freeze dead wife subplot. We've got Bane running around fucking shit up. And then we've got the Barbara Batgirl, Alfred is dying storyline. This movie just really feels overstuffed. So why do I love this movie so much? It's Batman, and it's fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger. For a kid my age at the time, that was it. That was all this movie needed. I wanted all the toys. I knew every stupid Arnold one-liner, all the ice puns. I knew everything. This franchise desperately needed a revival afterwards. That's for sure. This was a one-off. This was the final nail in the coffin. But that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy this movie so very much. Do I think that it deserves the hate that it gets in the rankings? Sure. It's not a great movie, but it's a shitload of fun, and I love it. Number 4 is 2004's Alien vs. Predator. Now, this very ambitious movie brings together two sci-fi powerhouses in a promised epic clash of the titans. Now, this movie delivers in spades, with the second act especially showcasing several awesome AVP fights. And it's the final act of this movie that I think most fans really hate, and is why it gets such a bad rap. The final act sees the last Predator align itself with our remaining human protagonist, Alexa. Now, this is a franchise-altering choice, and one that changes the Predator species as a whole, from a human-killing machine to much more complex and nuanced creatures capable of actually assessing a situation and forming a bond. So it also allows us to easily root for the Predator in the final act. It's a bold choice, but one that I applaud. Now, does this mean that in every scenario the Predator would agree to such terms? No, of course not. There may also be shocked Predators with different personalities, one more prone to violence and one that may be a bit more compassionate. I know this seems weird that we're talking about Predators in this way, but that's the world building. That's world building, and that's one of the things I love about this movie. Is it's ambitious. Maybe it does a little bit too much, but it's trying to build the world up and show that, maybe these Predators aren't all, the exact same. And that's kind of something that I do feel that the newer movies have tried to explore, and I applaud it. I love AVP. I think the action's fun, characters are campy, they're ridiculous, but the movie's a good time. I enjoy it. At number 3, we have 1994's movie adaptation of the mega popular fighting game series Street Fighter, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, if you're a fan of Van Damme, this movie is going to have most of his tropes, so you're going to be a fan. You're going to be happy. If you're a fan of the game series, however, you're going to be a little peeved at some of the representations of the signature moves. However, I think most people's biggest problem with this movie is its casting, and I'm not even going to try to begin and defend it. That's a lost cause. Because we start things off with the aforementioned Van Damme, who, while famously being nicknamed the Muscles from Brussels and sporting one of the most distinctive and famous foreign accents in film history, save maybe Schwarzenegger, he's inexplicably cast as the all-American Colonel Guile. I get having him in the movie sells tickets, but at what cost? Do they even understand how silly a decision this was? I'm gonna guess not, because they cast a Samoan actor who is obviously not Japanese as the beloved character E. Honda. It's all good, however, because in spite of all the amazing Jean-Claude action and one-liners, and boy does he have a lot of amazing one-liners in this movie.
Collection agency, Bison. Your ass is 6 months overdue. And it's mine.
The absolute best part is the performance from the late Raul Julia, who his performance, is the stuff of legends. This movie did not deserve him, and why talk about it when I could just show it to you?
The day Bison graced your village, was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
The silver medal goes to arguably the worst entry in a franchise that a lot of people would consider, you know, to have high highs and very low lows. 2001's Jason X. Now, pretty much everyone can agree that once a franchise reaches the in space era, their run is not probably at a point where anyone would consider it, you know, the high peak. And I'm not here to argue that Jason X is a masterpiece. The franchise had long grown somewhat stale, and in the continued quest to find new and interesting adversaries or locations to throw at Jason, we finally, 10 films in, landed in space. The way in which Jason and our hero Rowan arrive in the year 2455 is silly, but if you can just get on board with that fact that yes, we are here in the future, in space, Jason is ready to kill some fuckers and it's go time, then you're ready for this movie. It's an absolute blast to watch, especially with a group, and features some of the best kills in the franchise, highlighted by my franchise top kill, the cryo face smash. It doesn't get any better than this for me, and I just enjoy the lightheartedness of the film. I don't have to mourn any of the lost cast members. They're all forgettable, and it's just all about the big guy doing what he does best. I love Jason X, and I don't care who knows it. But at the top spot, or I guess the bottom spot, depending on how you view it, the number one terrible movie that I love anyway is the 1986 cult classic Maximum Overdrive. Written by Stephen King and adapted by Stephen King from one of his short stories, Trucks. You would think that this movie was set up for success, right? We're gonna have a hit? Nah. Well, if you're the general public, you would definitely disagree. This movie was almost universally rejected, and even King stated that he was using drugs pretty heavily during production. So why do I love it? This movie's my childhood, man. I was born the year after this movie came out, and some of my earliest memories are hanging with my friends and watching this silly horror movie and just laughing at the craziness. The sound effect of the machines coming to life is creepy and iconic. You add the epic AC/DC soundtrack, and you've got yourself some high voltage action starring the Mighty Ducks guy and some other people fighting trucks. I mean, what's not to love? This movie is also mercifully short because, I mean, there's really only so long we can kick this dead horse before even someone like me turns it off. So the finale, it's quick, it's satisfying. We never get any information, concrete information about why this is all happening, but it is heavily implied that it has something to do with the comet. It doesn't really matter. For those of us who love this movie, when you were in the mood for Maximum Overdrive, there is literally no other substitute. This is my favorite shitty movie of all time. But guys, that's my list. Please comment down below. Let me know what's your favorite terrible movie. Do you love any of the ones that I love? I'm sure you do, even if you won't admit it. But what's your favorite terrible movie of all time? Comment down below. Please let me know. Like, subscribe if you're new here. It helps the channel out. It costs absolutely nothing, and it helps me out a lot. It's, you know, we're on the road to 1,000. We're getting close. We're getting there. So thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I love doing this, or I wouldn't be doing it. I'm not making any money. I just enjoy doing this. So until next time, I am about to go through a move, so I don't know when the next video is going to be. I've got to completely tear down my setup and put it back up in the new area. So this could be the last time I talk to you all for a while. But again, until next time, be good people, be good to each other. We'll catch you next time.